exciting to hear what people were talking about. It was so fun to watch the kids and their reaction to it, because they could like see it and relate to it in some ways. A lot of the works, like they were like, it was really just fun to watch that, and then to like overhear people's conversations about the different works and the greater kind of conversations around it. And the same satisfaction has come from the film experience, which I hope you guys get to kind of just peek into, because it's, I think, really at the heart of it.
Great. It'd certainly be worth a visit down to see the film, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I'll definitely make a trip here sometime. How long is it kind of how long is that piece in play for?
How I imagine it right now is that it's permanent.
Okay.
And every year we do a different season that
Got
features 10 new partners.
Got it.
And 10 new programs around it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So there's a little time.
Little time.
Okay. Got it.
At least till December 5th for this season. It'll go into the spring too, but we'll probably close when we close the show. So tasting it menu comes down December 5th. The high school art show will come down December 5th, and we'll probably reopen again end of January, beginning of February with the new exhibition.
Gotcha.
It is a exhibition with a curator named Eric Heist, who used to run, or still runs, Momenta Arts, which was like started in the 80s in Chicago, and now he's here. And it's, I want to say, yes, it was in Bushwick for a while. Yeah, really cool guy doing really cool, important work. So we just, I don't know how I was recommended to speak with him, honestly. The connections have now all gotten so interwoven, but we just had really similar visions and ideas or concerns, really, that we were interested in, and he came up with a proposal. It's called Eternal Returns. It's a lot more, I would say it's more cerebral, it's more environmentally concerned rather than like food system concerned. And I think right now it's at 16 works of art, and they're like kind of larger scale. So it's like a Jeff Hodges work. We're trying to get an art award. There's a couple great local artists. So that'll open, I'm thinking, probably the first week of February.
Okay. Wow. Should we go on that little walk and see the site of this installation or this piece you're talking about?
Yeah.
It is. I forgot my coat. So did they establish the 501c3 even before you landed, or was it something you managed to sort of get on a fast track? Because I know for some places it can take a really long time to make that happen.
I pitched it, and then they gave it to their lawyer, lawyer, to kind of run with.
Okay.
And I provided them
with all the mission and description.
All,
yes. Yeah. Okay. Wow, it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
This was all done in this crazy pack hay for the groundbreaking.
Oh, do you mean the parking lot and the painting of the...
all this chalked up wheat that you followed a path from the entrance.
Yeah.
During the groundbreaking, which was on October 9th. So people walked over here. And this was one of the first things I pitched to the development company.
Gotcha.
Which was a collaboration with the Artist Collective Future Farmers. Are you familiar with them?
I am.
Yeah, they're incredible. Amazing people. We can... This is our Motherstone. This is a piece of metal from the IBM campus that we scavenged and used to make music. It's a little cold, so I'll just give you a really brief explanation. this and the 3 different crystals. This is going to be the site of a large-scale installation with the artist collective Future Farmers. They're an international artist collective that does large-scale public works. And I would say a lot of the ethos for the barns really comes out of their work because I was familiar with it. And this was one of the, I was just telling Mike, one of the first projects that I pitched to the development company was to work with them. So we really already had a kind of something that would ground the identity for the Art Center moving forward, and what we would want to do here and where the art was kind of coming out of. So this is going to be a 1,000 square foot structure, 23 feet high. It's designed by the Belgian architect who's a part of Future Farmers, Lotte Rankin. And that, it's 3 circles, if you can imagine a Venn diagram with like a third one. Right now we're standing in what's going to be the music room, which is a humstone instrument that we're designing. This is the mother stone. It'll be up about here, I would say. It's going to be about here high. And underneath it is essentially what kind of looks like a piano. So it's all these different hammers. And it's going to hit all these different chimes and all these different things that you're going to be able to make music with. As you roll one of the baby millstones, that we're calling them baby millstones, that are in the crystals throughout around on it, kind of like a record player if you can imagine, and it's going to cause all these little hammers to dink about. Dink, probably slightly more beautiful than that. Don't tell Amy how I'm butchering this right now.
But it is the act of milling that's happening, basically.
Exactly. So it's that's where it came out of. So this is our humstone. The other room, which is going to be this one right here, where the tree is actually the chimney for a community bakehouse. It's a kind of structural oven. And then in the third room is our, kind of right over there, is our gathering space. It's going to be a kneading table and then like a gathering table. So it's called Afros and Lands and Harps, and it is a place where art can transcend all barriers, from language to race to education to interest in art. You'll come here, you'll be able to break bread, listen to music, bake bread together, and kind of just let your mind wander. It's very wonder-filled. During the groundbreaking ceremony that we had here, we had the composers that are already on board with the project what would you say, bless the land in some way, or like be here to kind of seed it. Seed it is probably better. We planted wheat from Don Lewis, who runs Wild Hive Farm. He's the man responsible for bringing wheat growing back to the Hudson Valley. So we had heritage grain planted inside of each of the crystals that hold the baby millstones that'll be inscribed with the composer's score that are a part of the project. And we have, it's Walter Katindu, who's a MacArthur Fellow and just an amazing experimental artist. Guillermo Galindo, if you know him, he calls himself post-Mexican artist. Incredible work. He teaches at Stanford. He has a piece on the High Line right now. And then Anea Lockwood, who's a local artist actually. She's the one who sunk the baby grand piano, pulled it back up and played it. So they have been an amazing force in this project. And the dream is to start construction in the spring and hopefully even finish it in the spring. We have it down to kind of a kit almost, a construction plan, because we are trying to convince the town that it's a temporary installation. Because if it's not temporary, they're going to make us put a bathroom out here, and the safety inspection and all of that will make it really, really difficult.
Could it be framed as public sculpture?
It is public, it's a public installation, but because you're inside of it, it can't be a sculpture. The problem really is the oven aspect of it, because then you get the food and making of food and eating of food happening in here puts a whole nother level of control on it. So unless we have to get it, basically we have to get it to be a temporary structure. We're saying it's like a kit that you can pack back up and then move somewhere else. Like a traveling 1,000 square foot bakehouse. We were trying to convince them that this is super portable.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. The baby millstones, we actually had them all here. We brought them over with these huge cranes. It was so nuts watching the millstones like being transported here. But then once we got them here, as a community, we collectively took pieces of that so we went scavenging throughout the IBM campus to get all these like weird metal objects and like I can't even tell you what this equipment was, like really weird IBM equipment that we made music with during the groundbreaking. But then we took massive poles, like you can see that one right there, that's the biggest one. And we would all stand on either side of them, stick it through the center of the hole, and then pushed it up the hill or pushed it over there. And then people were following with the flour that was going behind it to trace the lines. So it was a really beautiful experience. That was a little indulgent, but if you're wondering how we transferred these millstones, and we're telling the town, like, oh yeah, no worries, just a couple of us are just gonna grab some poles and we'll just move it wherever you want. Definitely portable. But yeah, this is the Future Farmers site. This is truly, I think, gonna be like the lifeblood of the project. And I'm really hoping that a community is gonna form around it and make it its own thing. They did a similar project, similar-ish in Oslo. You can look up their bake oven there. It's stunning. It looks like a ship because they put it on the harbor, and it's like akimbo, and it has a big bake oven in it. It doesn't have like the musical element, but they did this 7 years ago, and they've now changed the land ordinance all around it to actually be farmland, like with the government. And there's a society, a bakehouse society that runs the oven, and they do all this educational stuff. And it was totally just taken on by the community. Future Farmers is obviously still a part of it, but they live all over the world, and the community kind of got together and ran with it. And that's really my hope for what this is going to do.
Oh.
If I may, I have another question.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you keep talking about the community. I don't really know how far we are from the regular neighborhoods. It looked to me that this is like a very industrial area, so I don't really know. Obviously, a lot of people come to the gym.
Yes.
we saw that. But because it's hard for me to wrap around what community are you referring to. If the community in Hopwood Junction, or there is another community, or how the community really plays a role in all these conceptual themes or ideas, how is that community engagement happening? Or if there is a vision that you want to bring to the community in the hope that the community will embrace it, or if you are building that together with that community that you are referring to.
Yeah, so there's Hopewell Junction, which surprisingly starts in a less than 5-minute drive. You can get into the neighborhoods of Hopewell Junction, and I don't want to quote how many people there because I don't remember exactly, but it's huge. And then you also have East Fishkill, and then you also have Wappinger Falls, and that's all in between Beacon and Poughkeepsie. Yeah. And in terms of how we're actively engaging them, I think it started out with engaging the larger Hudson Valley and the arts education institutions, because that was a lot easier for me to concretely go about rather than walking door to door. Now it's about getting the word out and getting the community in. And so far, the people that we have gotten in have been really great about bringing more people in and sitting and having conversations with us. Like I said, we just now have a gallery sitter. So I've been here every weekend, sitting and talking with the people that have wandered in. And the reaction has been so positive and so exciting, and so many people that want to be involved in a meaningful way. And that kind of is what gives me hope to keep moving forward, because it seems clear to me now that there is a need for something here, and a gathering space and a place to just be that isn't a restaurant or a rec center.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so what makes it's personal a bit. So I'm just always always fascinated by motivations. And I'm thinking, because you keep saying that you're a poet, so what brings a poet to dedicate her entire time for I don't know how long to open an art center?
That's a great question. I'm wrestling with myself.
Been searching for the answer to that for
I am.
last 6 months.
And also the idea of building something and then kind of letting it go is not off my radar. I like the idea of putting the action and pieces and motivations in place, and then letting someone kind of take over who maybe knows more about this or can bring more to it. The reason I pitched it is, it was COVID. And I was in the city and I was working for the School of the New York Times. And I loved doing that. I loved teaching, but I was working with kids from all over the world in their gap year program, and I was teaching writing. And I was just thinking a lot about the fact that they had so many good questions about why the world was the way that it was. And I graduated with my MFA in 2019. So I'd been working for the New York Times for a year at that point, and had now seen, spent a lot of time with about 200 students, a few of which flew in for the opening, which was really incredible experience. I cried so much. And they just had so many questions about why things were the way they were. And I just felt I felt motivated to do something that was a little larger than my own ideas about writing, and I miss it. I'm gonna go back to it. But I had an idea. There was a strange opportunity for me to pitch it. I thought I could do something better than maybe a historic society or a visitor society. And that's how we got here.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
That's the most candid answer I can give you.
I appreciate how candid you've been throughout,
I hope
actually.
that's not too much, but I am.
No.
there's no-
It's great. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's this project.
That's awesome. Shall we head back over to the gallery and warm up a little?
Yeah.
I don't know, is it cool?
I'm cold.
Yeah.
And what are you guys doing with all the material and machinery? Are you trying to sell it?
No, what I really want to do is bring artists in to rework it. I've identified a few, especially architects are really interested in working with it. There's a lot of smokestacks and like really wild stuff that lends itself to large scale sculpture.
Yeah.
So a healthy amount of it, I would love to bring artists and architects in to turn into large scale outdoor sculpture that we could put all around this area. Beyond that, the rest of it, I'm not sure. Just got to get it off the top. So if anybody wants it and has access